serial communication interface, what are the hardware requirements, and then the chip which is actually involved in the serial communication in our along with the 8086 that we are going to see. So going into our the slides. So this, before we go into the actual SCI chip, serial communication interface chip, we shall go into basics about the communication happening in our digital real world uh, data transmission. So when we are talking about communication, the communication is actually between IO devices, input to be transferring data into a microprocessor, then the microprocessor may give some data to the output device. So we are concerned about the communication through the particular 8086 microprocessor connecting the input device and the output device. So this communication, the data transmission may be of two types. One is parallel communication, another one being serial communication. So so this serial communication is the communication which is happening serially bit by bit between the devices. And parallel is where some set of bits can be parallelly sent between IO devices. So where do we have the parallel communication and serial communication in this microprocessor controlled IO data transfer? Within the microprocessors, say a memory and the microprocessor, and internal to the microprocessor also we have parallel communication taking place. Say data bus, 8-bit data bus or 16-bit data bus, it may connect the registers with one another, or memory to be connected with the microprocessor through the data bus. So where do we actually need the serial communication? Why parallel communication is not enough for the data transmission? If you look at it, parallel data transfer may be faster. So the fast microprocessor operations may happen with parallel communication, but they have a data skew. What is data skew? Data skew is nothing but when we have all the 8 bits starting from a particular 8086, by the time they reach the particular memory device chip, all the data will not be the same data. It may be some zero might have not become zero. It may be maintained in the earlier one itself. So there is a skew, that is there is not a correct representation of the data. There is a change in the data. So whenever the distance between the devices supplying data and receiving data are very long, this parallel communication is not effective. So this parallel communication limited to small distance. Then, but in real world, we have in real world we have systems which are which are wide apart, which may be over several meters apart. So where the distance is very longer, we go for serial communication, bit by bit to be transferred from input to the output device. So this also serial communication also reduces the cost of cost of the communication. How? Cost mean the hardware, the lines connecting the input and the output devices, they are few, only one line may be enough to transfer from input to the output. Whereas parallel and 8-bit data, all 8 lines required to be laid between the input and output device to transfer the 8-bit data. So this is cheaper and it is slower. And this one, parallel communication is a faster communication, but which has data skew. So it is costlier also. So these are the advantages and disadvantages we find between parallel and serial communication. Parallel is for very short distances, serial communication for systems which are um, distant ones. So what do we have? What is the difference in the transmission technique? Serial communication, where bit by bit we have the data to be transmitted, it can happen in two ways. One is called asynchronous and another one is called synchronous. So asynchronous, synchronous. Synchronous means it is syncing with some reference. So the data is syncing with some different reference. Here, the sender and the receiver, they have to be synchronized manner working. That is to have both of them to be operating in sync. Whenever a bit is transmitted, the receiver should be ready to receive the bit. So there are the duration of one bit which is transferred along the line, it is indicated by means of a clock. So using this clock, the particular receiver may be able to identify one bit has been received is 0 or 1. So synchronous communication require clock signals. And this in synchronous communication, blocks of data can be just sent. So with the clock along with the data, just data stream can be from input to the output. Just data can be sent as large blocks. It's more efficient. Synchronous communication, it is a bit expensive, meaning that there are extra lines for carrying the sync pulses. So your synchronous, though expensive, it is faster in its operation. So where the communication is very much greater than 20 kilobits per second, 20 kb per second, we go for synchronous communication. Blocks of data to be sent, synchronous communication is better. And asynchronous is where you don't require any extra lines, only one line. In that, each byte, one byte, that is 8-bit, is actually encoded for transmission. What is the encoding then? Encoding is just, it is put in a particular format. It is having one start bit and one stop bit, one or many stop bits. And there is no synchronization required because of the absence of the sync pulses. No extra circuitry required here. This is lesser expensive. And it is having one line only. But to identify the bit sent through this single line, we have the start and stop bit. So it is now identified in this manner. So for 8-bit data, we have the start bit. First, the transmission starts with the start bit, which is usually a low pulse. The start bit is a low pulse. So line will be normally, at the transmitting end, it will be maintained high. When transmission starts, it will be made 0. So this is called marking, and this is called spacing. So after a spacing pulse, the data bits will be transmitted as required. 1 means a high, 0 means a low. So this part to the other part is our LSB to the MSB. As time goes from LSB, lastly MSB will be sent. And at the end we have 1 and 1.5 or 2 stop bits to be following. So this is one frame of data. So this is called encoding of the data. So if you look at it, asynchronous transmission, it can happen in burst of data. It can happen with breaks in between. Whereas synchronous transmission continuously, it keeps on sending the data along with the sync pulses. These sequence of data will be identified. Whereas in the case of asynchronous, the sender rate may be a different one. Receiver rate of reception may be different. There may be breaks in between the data to be transmitted. Okay, so this is about the basic method of serial communications available. Then So a bit in detail is given here, a data, a high mark and a space. This is the bytes. Then along with it, we have a parity bit also. Sometimes in some of the standards, we have the parity mode of operation. And this the stop bits, two stop bits are 1.5. So this together, it is a frame. So that given in digital form like this. This is as far as your asynchronous concerned. Now the synchronous communication, it needs a sync pulses, clock pulses. So these are all from one clock, for one clock period, the first data will come. Second clock period, you have the second data. Likewise, if you look at the data line, it is just series of bits which are transferred. There is no extra bits to be added. So efficiency of the transmission is better compared with here. Here, start and stop bit, parity, all of them waste the data space of our line. So asynchronous, synchronous are working in this manner. Then serial communication, in the earlier method of synchronous and asynchronous, depending on the transmission technique, we had the synchronous and asynchronous. Depending on the direction of transmission, serial communication can be divided into simplex, duplex, and half duplex. So what is half duplex and what is duplex and simplex? Simplex means the device is identified to be only acting as transmitter, or it can be acting only as a receiver. It cannot be acting as both. That is always there is only one way of transmission. Data is transmitted in one direction over a single channel, like a processor giving data to the CRT display unit. So the CRT terminal can only receive data. So processor can only give data in one direction to the CRT display. So it can accept only input from the processor. So this is simplex mode of operation. Likewise, a printer, if you take the printer from the from the computer or the microprocessor, the printer can receive data only. So this is simplex mode of operation. Duplex mode is where the particular devices may be, they can be acting as transmitter or receiver. At one point of transmission, they may be transmitter, and next they become receiver. So that device 1, if it is transmitting some data, device 2 may receive some data, and after some time, device 2 become a transmitter to give back some data to the device 1. So device 1 now become a receiver to get the to receive the data. So both the devices are trans receivers, transmitters as well as receivers, trans receivers. Data may be transferred between the two receivers in both the directions. This is simultaneously if they happen, they can transmit in one line and the other line it can receive also. Parallelly it is happening. It is called full duplex operation. So half duplex operation may be where there is a single line, which single bidirectional line between the device 1 and device 2, and we have first the device 1 to act as a transmitter with the device 2 being the receiver. Then there is a reversal in the role. The device 2 becomes transmitter and thing. So here we require two lines connecting two unidirectional lines to be available in a full duplex, and data will be transferred at all times simultaneously. In a half duplex, you can have a single line, a bidirectional line, which is connecting both the devices. Both the devices may be trans receivers. At a time, there may be only one direction of the transmission from device 1 to device 2 or from device 2 to device 1. So this is how we have the various more, that is on the direction of a transmission, different types of serial communication classified. Okay, so upon types of communication it is done. Next is, before we go into that, Okay, thank you. So going back to our discussion, now this is a typical setup of our serial communication. A computer is available. It is having a modem to be connected, and another modem is at a far distance available. And this is whatever data is received by a computer. So this is computer to computer communication. So we have this internet maybe connecting these two. So what is available between these two devices? We have the computer which is having the microprocessor within it, a processing unit within it, and there will be some other device to the processor here is a parallel communication device, but when it has to be communicating through this longer distance, we prefer serial communication. So parallel to serial communication should be done, and then this serially communicated bits they have to be put through the transmission media. So if there are telephone lines passing through between the two, then they should be they cannot be have carrying the bits as it is. The telephone lines can only carry analog signals. So there is a requirement for modulation. Modulation is the digital data, zeros and ones, they are converted into signals, analog signals. So we have some techniques like FSK, frequency shift keying, then PSK, the phase shift keying, and so many newer techniques have come for even wireless communication, so that the analog, that is the digitally available signal, that is converted into an analog signal. After modulation, it is transmitted on the line communication media, and then on receiving here, demodulation is happening in the modem modulation, demodulation happen, and we have the serial data, digital data, which is converted into a digital form, serial data converted into digital form, stored in the memory space of our computer. So this is happening. These are the processes which are happening in the serial communication. So inside our processor, what do you have? Inside a processor, we have so many devices. Even before we go into that, we will see how the communication is set up. First, computer A will be, we call this computer which starts the communication as a data terminal equipment. And then here, this is also which is receiving at the receiving end, where this is getting the particular message. This is also called data terminal equipment. And then this modem device which puts the particular message into communication media, this is called digital data communication equipment. So this is data terminal equipment, and this is data communication equipment. Two DCE communicate within one another to pass the data from the transmitter end and the receiving end. So now how the communication will take place? There are three phases in which the communication take place. The protocol. Protocol is the rules which are followed for controlled, disciplined communication. So a reliable communication, nothing to be lost between the transmitter and receiver. So this protocol should be followed. How is it? First, the connection is set up between this end to the other end through this modem, and then data is actually transmitted. After the connection is set up, data is transmitted. Then once the transmission is over, it has to be terminated. So these are the three phases. So in the three phases, how your communication, what are the steps involved? If you see, connection setup, making this receiving end to be accepting the data. So that connection setup, what happened? Computer A is asserting the data terminal ready. So in this data terminal equipment, we have particular port connector pins which are available. Through this, we have some signals to be passed. So the signals to be passed from this end to the DCE machine. So what happened? What is the connection between the DCE and the DTE? So DTE and the DCE, these are having 9 pins available, and these 9 pins are interconnected in this manner. So if DTE is a male connector, B will connect. Likewise, we have the interconnections are internally done so that transmit data goes into the receive data, and the reverse line of communication. When DCE is giving some data into our computer, it has transmitting end of the DCE modem to be connected to this receiving. Likewise, all the status lines here, which should go from this end to the other end, they are interconnected in this manner. So now what do you have? What are the signals which are available? Carrier detect is one. We have transmit data, receive data, then data terminal equipment ready. This is terminal equipments. They are ready. So ground, we leave it. Then ring indicator is one particular device. Clear to send and request to send. Clear to send and request to send. These are status signals telling about the terminal's status. Then DCE ready and DTE ready. They tell about these two equipments readiness. Transmit data and receive data. Actual data through transmit data, maybe if this connector is from at the DTE end, then it is outgoing line. The modem, if it is the other end is a modem DCE end, then receive data. So this transmitting end of from the computer will be connected to the receiving end. It will be an incoming data. So likewise, the direction is given in the next line. So these pins are just indicated with this arrow mark. This arrow mark does not show you that all the pins are input, but they are identifying what are the pins. Now the connection back to our connection setup. Computer A will be wanting to say this is wanting to start the communication. It asserts the DTE ready signal. DTE ready signal. It will give it, and then the modem B. So that is given out through this modem to this end. Modem B will alert the computer, second computer here. Computer B asserts the DTE ready here in this using the ring indicator. Once modem rings this particular peripheral, then the computer B will be giving its readiness by asserting the DTE ready. And then modem B, now on getting the readiness of this computer, it will generate one carrier. It is a particular modulating signal. So what it will do is it will generate one carrier signal and turns its DCE ready signal. So DCE ready is also, we have one signal here. So it will send one DCE ready signal to this end. Then modem A, now what it detects, the carrier sent by this modem is detected by this other end, this modem. So modem A detects the carrier signal from modem B, and modem A will alert the computer via the carrier detect. So this is the carrier detect, this line. Okay, so data terminal ready is now given out by this in response to the ring indicator by this DCE enabled by this one. And then on getting it, you have the carrier send generated by this modem, and then this modem, it gives this carrier detect signal. Carrier is detected by this modem, and then you have the DCE turned on here, and this will turn on DCE also. And then the data, the modem will be alerting this computer to receive the to start the communication. So now the data transmission will be it will be started by using two signals, which is request to send and clear to send. So request to send, this DTE will be asking this DTE to whether it can send data. So it is requesting the other one that it is wanting to send data. Then this terminal, the second DTE, it will say that it is ready to receive by saying clear to send. Okay, that line is clear for sending the data. So it is ready to send. So request to send and clear to send. Then once the transmission is over, with request to send, we have the transmission started. If with one, the request to send has been starting the transmission, a low here by deactivating the RTS. RTS signal, if from high to low it becomes, then it is the end of the transmission. So this is how between these devices, data terminals, terminal equipments, through this modem, we have the communication, serial communication. Now these are what we have practically available. Now our communication is like this. So whenever DC is ready to receive, it will send a DCE. Okay. So DC, that is data set ready. Okay. Data set ready. Data terminal is this one. Okay. Data terminal ready is DTR. Corresponding to our DCE ready, we have the DSR. So modem will send the DSR. Okay. These lines are okay. This comes from the other pin, that is the other data terminal. That's okay. So when a modem is ready to receive, it sends a DCE ready signal. When the computer is ready to send the data, it sends the ready to send or request to send ready to send signal. So ready to signal. This is called ready to signal from the computer. It is sending to the modem. Then finally, the computer sends the data on the transmit data. This TD will be getting the data to the modem, and that modem will be actually connected to the other modem, and that goes into the receiver end of our terminal, RD of our second computer. So the signals which are communicated are this. So we have actual lines through which data is transmitted. This is the received data from the other computer. This is ready to send by the first transmitting computer. It is given out to the other devices, and receiver computer, it will send through all the modems. The clear that is clear to send will be received, and then data terminal ready, that will be given out by this before starting the character. I mean, before sending the characters, data terminal ready will be asserted, and the other end, the communication equipment, it will say that it is ready to receive by making this DSR ready. Then ground pins are there. So these are lines which are connecting the computer with the modem. So the connections are given, the same process given out. So we'll go into the need for 8251. Signals are actually transferred uh, to check for readiness of the receiver with the signals that DSR is checked out. Whenever the particular terminal is ready, that is the transmitting terminal is ready, it indicates the receiving equipment by sending a data. Then it is making sure that a character is received, that is clear to send. Whenever clear to send comes from the receiver only, it sends the next data. So likewise, so many signals are passed. For these are called the RTS and CTS are called handshake signals. These are passed for reliable transmission. So earlier, without this 8251, who is doing all this? If you look at it, these signals which are passed between, they are actually done by 8251 within the computer. So data terminal equipment, it has 8251 within it. So without that 8251, can we not have any simple serial communication done? It is possible, but we need a program, that is to transfer. We need a hardware, or by software means also we can transfer the 8-bit registers content, rotate and push it out of the line. Take any one of the port lines, say 8255 can be used, or you may have a 8255 connected with our 8086 data line, and then we can have our port A is any one line to transmit single bits from the data data bus of our 8086. Through 8086, all the bits can be sent out into one single line, PA0 to PA7. Any one line can be taken by rotating bit by bit, shifting out the bits. It can be done. But the thing is, for proper for asynchronous synchronous, it requires a lot of software manipulation. So long process it is we write a long program to do all this. So to avoid all this software, and when we have to send one bit, it is required to execute the full instruction again and again. So the time taken for transmitting is limited by the microprocessor speed. So to avoid it, we have a 8251 which will take care of all this process, checking the transmitting end and receiving end readiness, the baud rate, how that is the bits per second, how can it be altered for different applications. It can be faster or it can be made slower one. Then if it is synchronous communication, how to add the sync pulses. Then if it is asynchronous, start stop pulses to be, all of them are taken care by this 851. So it avoids the time overhead in the software controlled serial communication. Writing a program for this 8255 interface with 8086, that is called software controlled serial communication. So there is a lot of time wasted there. We call it time overhead. So that is avoided in 855. And 855, it is 8251 is a universal synchronous as well as asynchronous receiver transmitter. It's compatible with all the microprocessors, Intel's microprocessor. 8051, 8085, 8085, 8086, and so on. And this chip, what it does is 8251's basic process is converting parallel data into a serial stream and make it suitable for serial communication. So it receives serial stream of bit also converted into parallel bytes to be given to the microprocessor. So the connection is like this. So 8086, which has the buffers and latches to have the bidirectional data lines and the address lines available for other chips. And then it has a clock generator, external clock generator. This clock will produce this ready and reset. So this clock is what is also required for producing the baud rate of our 8251. If you look at it, we can have the transmission of data as the clock frequency of our 8086, or it can be 1 by 16th of our clock frequency, or it is 1 by 64th of our clock frequency. It is all done. It can be done. So that baud rate bits per second, where the second is identified by the clock frequency here, that is possible by this clock generator, a clock divider circuit going into this. One of the clock divider goes into the transmitter clock and another clock divider circuit goes into receiver's clock. So you understand this 8251 is a transmitter and receiver. So there is a transmitter clock needed and a receiver clock also needed. Then the whatever resets this 8086, it is also going to reset this 8051, 8251. And then ready is also given to this ready. Sorry. Okay, ready. This is for slower devices require this, but this is synchronized with our 8086. Now we have a decoder circuit. What is the need for decoder circuit? This is for giving select lines for several IOs. Chip select lines for several IOs. Of that, a particular combination can be taken. In this particular hardware connection, we are taking A0, A7, A6, and A5. These combinations are taken for generating the chip select. So depending on this A3, A6, and A7, three lines, a 3 is to 8 decoder, 8 select lines are available. One of the output line is given to select this one, 8251. So whenever communication has to be done, this particular combination of the, that is 010 should be available here in A5, 6, A7. 010 available, the second pin will go high, but it is bubbled one, so it is 0. For that 010 combination, a low will come, that will select this chip. So address comes from the 8086 to this also, select the chips. Then this address line also goes into the 8251 for one line is taken, A1, A0 actually this is. A0 actually is to identify between command words and data words. So we are going to use data words inside command words to put it into particular operation. So if this line, A0 line is 0, it is going to refer as data. And if this is 1, then it is going to say it is a data means the bits, parallel data. Okay, so parallel data from 8086 which has to be transmitted comes through this line, through the data bus. And it is going to use this data bus for it. Otherwise, if it is, if this line is 1, then whatever appear across this D0 to D7, that is a command word to be stored into the command register and mode word to be stored into the mode register. So we have around control word, we can have reading, writing operation done for this. So data can be for transmitting, it can be written into our data bus. So write and this line with D0, this particular line 0 will put the data for transmission. And if this line is 1, you have this 0 coming on here, reading a command. Reading a command is only the status of the particular 8251 to be read. That is what we understand from this line becoming 1. So if it is right, if this line is 0, right line is 0, and you have this line all becoming 1, then it is write enabled for command. So you can have through this data lines D0 to D7 command words to be transferred. So where it is coming from? Through the program we write. Through the user's program which is fetched by this 8086, this command word given out into this data bus identified by this A0, given proper signal by read. If it is putting a command word into our 8251, write signal should be enabled and this should be made 1. And if at all the data to be transmitted, then data to be transmitted, some 20 data may come, 8-bit data. So first data may come, put into this data bus, and this should become, the A0 line should become 0, and it should be, write signal should be 0. This write should be 0 and this should be 1. This as far as our this pins are concerned. So this is for setting the rate at which the serial communication may happen. And this clock is for the internal operations, for syncing with the 8086. How many bits are to be put into all that, into the data register, so on. Then what are these lines? You have data set ready. Data set ready, it comes from the receiver. Whenever data terminal, this is suppose we imagine this is a transmitter. Sorry, if this is this is at the receiving end, then the other end, say so we have data to be sent out through this transmit data line outward like this. Okay, so when this 8086 want to transmit data through this line, it has to give out data. And then when we have the data set ready coming on, this data set ready, it is the signal coming from our second 8086 which is connected with 8251. So we have one more setup like this available here. If that device is ready to transmit, then data set ready is given out by the other system to this. So data set ready is the other ends status read into our this system. So these are data lines through which actual bits will be transmitted and actual bits received. And this is ready to send. Ready to send is whenever that 8086 it transmits this data on this TXD line. Before that, it will be making this ready to send data high. In this case, it is low. A bar is given, so a low here will start. It will indicate that transmission will be started. So through this, making this low, bits will be transmitted. Okay, and before that, this data set readiness will be checked. So data set ready is available. Next one with the request to ready to send given low signal given, data will be transmitted. And then here clear to send it is also to be received. It should also be checked. So before this transmitted data, this clear to send also should come from the other end. So sequence, if you see, it may be like this. Data set ready comes, then it ready to send it is giving, then it checks for the clear to send. So clear to send means the other end is saying it's ready to receive. Clear to send, transmitted is transmitted through this line, data is transmitted, and then we have the this one made high and transmission will be stopped. This is the way the signals will be used for our transmission. Data terminal ready, it is an indicator to the other, that is to our modem, is to say that the terminal, this particular terminal is ready for even reception. Then receiver ready, transmitter ready. Okay, so this is actually acting as a transmitter, also receiver. So when this act as transmitter, it will indicate the transmitter readiness through this line. And when this act as a receiver, its readiness will be given through receiver ready. And transmitter empty is it is a status. Whenever data is all communicated, then transmitter empty is the signal given, a status given. Then this is sync detected, then break detected. Sync pulses detected in synchronous communication, or break in the asynchronous communication. That detected signal that is communicated between the 8251 of this end and the other end. Now, what about this particular MAX 232A? What is the use of it? If you see, all the signals which we are talking about, this device may be 1 and 0. I mean, TXT may be 0 or 1. It may be any combination. And here it will be low, and then it will, for ready to send, it will be low. And once transmission is over, it will make it high. So we are talking about 1 and 0s only here. But practically, if you see, this 8086 works with 0 and 5 volts, and logic 0 as 0, and 1 will be by 5 volts. But we have a particular standard, transmission standard, serial communication standard, which is given out by RS-232. This RS-232 is this particular standard given by the Electronic Industries Association. This does not work with 0 and 5. This 0 and 5, which is 28 1 and 0, they have the logic 0 and logic 1 of our this system. It is represented by different voltage signal levels in our RS-232. So this particular way, that is, which has some 9 signals to be transmitted now. Earlier we saw about DSR, then DC ready, clear to send, request to send. Then we had data transmission, ground. So 9 pins are actually there. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4. 9 pins, this RS-232 connector. 9 pin D type connector it is. So 9 signals we have already seen. After that only these are important, that is transmitted data, received data, and then request to send, ready to send from the if it is transmitting, and clear to send Then from the other end, when it asks for transmitter to start the transmission, this is indicator that other end receiving end is ready. Okay. So what is the voltage level here? It is like minus 9 volt nominally negative voltage minus 9 for logic 1 and plus 9 for logic 0. So this conversion from 5 volts to minus 9 and 0 volts to plus 9, that is done by this max 232. So it's voltage level converter. So adapter, it is something like adapter. So we have all the pins which are described here. That is D0 to D7, 8 pins. For it's a data bus pins for writing, for reading or reading the status, writing command words from the from or to 8251 with 8086 to the 8251. Then command or data, command word or data. So this input pin together with the read and write signal inform whether the word on the data bus is a data word or a control word. Okay, if the pin is 1, the control is on the bus, otherwise data is on the bus. So depending on the R&D signals and this we are identifying what is the data in the D0 to D7. Okay, D0 to D7's content is identified using this. The read and write signals, they are active low. Clock is available from the 8086 from the clock generator output. It is connected. It is required input frequency should be at least 30 times the transmitter and receiver data rate, bit rate. So it is required, it should be at least 10 times the bit rate, baud rate of our 8251 clock frequency should be higher. The clock should be higher and this rate should be lower. Then reset. Reset whenever reset is done, 8251 goes into idle state. It will remain idle until this signal is low. When it is 1, this particular line is 1, all it goes to idle state. But when a particular command words, when it is put into operation, the 8251 is put into operation, reset pin is made low and command words are written into it. Then transmit clock. This transmitter clock controls the rate the character is transmitted. Transmitted data. This is the line through which the data is put out from the 8251. Along with the not only the 8 bits start and stop bit in the case of asynchronous. And receiver clock, rate at which the character is received is dependent on this receiver clock. It controls the uh, receiver rate. Then receive data, bits which are received by 8251 from the microprocessor or other communication device. Then, sorry, from the other communication device only, it is from the other modem. Then, other 8251 may supply the data that is received by this 8251. That is what it is telling. Then, RxD, RxRDY, it is receiver ready. So, when this output indicates that 8251 contains a character to be read by the CPU. So, receiver ready means the particular receiver, a character to be as a receiver, this 8251 as a receiver, it has some data within it and that has to be read by the CPU. Okay. So receiver ready means a signal. This 8251 has become a ready receiver and that 8086 should be reading the character from the particular 8251. Transmitter ready means this 8251 acting as a transmitter, it is ready to accept a character for transmission from CPU. So this receiver ready and transmitter ready, these are signals given to the 8086 to the CPU only. So receiver ready to the CPU means the particular character to be read by the CPU. Transmitter ready given to the 8086 means it is ready to get some data for transmission from the 8086. So as a transmitter, it is ready. As a receiver, it is available. 8086, it is available to the 8086. Then DSR, data set ready. If the data set is ready when communicating with the modem. So DSR and DTR, these are for modem when it is communicating with modem. So transmitter ready and receiver ready, these are for communication with 8086 on this side. And DSR and DTR, these are when modem is communicated, when 8251 is communicating with another modem. So modem is one part of our 8251. There is one more 8251 here. So that modem may be communicated with this 8251 through RT, DSR and DTR, and request to send. This is a signal used for communicating with the modem also. So this side it is modem and this side it is 8086. All of this go to modem. It goes to the other modem, 8251's other modem. And this side it is 8086. And then we have the control words available as mode instruction, then command instruction. What do you have in our mode instruction? We know what are the signals available. These are data lines, transmitted data. So what are available in our inner blocks? If you see, data bus buffer, which is connected to 8. This end I told you, this should be connected to 8086, and through the 8086 D0 to D7 data, it is received and given out to this buffers. And read write logic, this read write logic has read write control signal, chip select available. Then read write, whether it is command word or a data line, given out by this control signal. Clock, reset. So these are all controls logic. Controls the whole of the 85. Then modem control for connecting with the other systems modem. These four lines are there. Data set ready, data terminal ready. This is the terminal part. Then clear to send, the other end, if it is acting as receiver, clear to send gives out, and ready to send, this is acting as transmitter, it gives out. So data terminal ready, it will give, and the other end data set ready. Okay, DC. Then this part is for actual data transmission. So you have a buffer, parallel data available, converted into serial, put into the data line. And to control them, how it is controlled? We have the transmitter enable, then we have the clock, the rate of transmission decided by this, and transmitter ready. So transmitter ready goes to the CPU. So this end to communicate with the CPU, 8086. The data line sending the actual data, and this readiness to the 8086 indicated. Then according to the clock which is given out, depending on the command word written, using this as the clock, at a particular baud rate it will receive the data, and here it will transmit the data at the baud rate given by this clock under command word written here. Then we have if it is receiving end, when it is receiving, in the case of synchronous communication, the sync pulses should be detected through this line. And if it is asynchronous, breaks in the frames should be detected. So that is this line. Frames received. Receiver section control is taking care of this. This all inner blocks of it. And if you go into our operation involving this, whatever we had. So data bus buffer, we know what is the part of it. Whether CPU decide whether the address on the bus is control address or the data address. Okay, then the modem control handle the modem handshake signals, coordinating the communication between modem and the USART. So transmit control, the other the other part of it, transmit control, transmitting data byte received by the CPU for serial communication. From the CPU, transmit block and send. Transmit control unit derive that status transmitter ready, transmitter empty, and the handshake, which may be these two are the handshake for the CPU. Transmitter ready means it is going to accept the data from the CPU. Once the transmission TXT data, it has sent all the TXT line has sent all the bits. Transmitter empty will indicate the CPU that transmission is over. So these are handshake signals of the 8251 with 8086. Then transmit buffer parallel to serial converter, and then receiver ready also. The same way the transmitter ready and receiver ready here, it is for handshaking. Receiver uh, signal, okay, receiver empty and so on. So do we have a receiver empty? Receiver ready alone is there, but we don't have a receiver empty. Instead, we have sync detect or break detect. So the different modes are asynchronous and synchronous mode. What happened, we know. So when a character is sent, what it does in the transmission end, if it is an asynchronous, uh, we will have all the parity, optional parity, stop bits and start bits also added according to the format. And these bits, all these additional bits and the data bits sent on the falling edge of the transmission clock. So on the transmitter's clock, falling edge, the bits will be sent. If it is a receiving end, if a particular 8251 is at the receiving end of our bits, at the falling edge of the receiver data line, it will first check for the start bit. Once the start bit has been received, it will start the data string availability. Then all the 8 bits will be, all the character bits, they'll be loaded into a parallel buffer, which is a receive buffer. Then receiver ready is raised high to indicate the CPU character is ready. And if the previous character is not read by the CPU, also new character will be just put into it, and we have a flag, overrun flag. Overrun flag is an error indicated that previous character lost is the message when that particular flag is made high. And then synchronous mode of communication, transmitted, if it is transmitting part of our 855 act as a transmitting section, in that case TXT output will be high until CPU send the character to 855. Normally it will be high. In synchronous mode, we have a high to be always in the line, data line. And then whenever we have the data bits, you have the combinations to be sent. So CPU should first send character to 855, which is a sync character. So sync characters, these are identified by the whenever at the receiving end, sync character will be checked for our. So in this mode, character synchronization is achieved. Data on RxD is sampled on the receiving edge. The receiving buffer compares the first sync character at every edge. Okay, so here first the sync character will be sent. When clear to send line goes low, clear to send come from the receiving end. So when that goes low, the first character will be transmitted out. So until then, sync characters will be sent. And when it is on the receiving end also, first sync characters will be identified. Only after identifying sync character, subsequent received characters will be checked. So this is how the synchronous transmission reception will take place. And then status reading. So at any point of the time, the 8251, what is it actually happening in the 8251? That is read using the status register. Any error has happened, that is also, that is when the transmission is running on, there may be a parity error, overrun error may be there. All of that, they can be read by the 8086. For reliable transmission, for any retransmission to be done, that should be, the status should be read. So status read, it is done by the CPU to read the status of this 8251, confirming whether any error condition, it is the status read only indicates it. So this operation, status read, is to be done often. So what are this mode? We are saying there may be a synchronous operation, asynchronous operation taking place. How the synchronous operation is identified in our transmitter and receiver. So that is done by means of a mode register, mode instruction. So this mode instruction tells about the various ways in which it will be transmitting. But okay, so we have first the mode setting instruction is like this. The two bits, LSB bits, they are 00 mean they are referring to synchronous communication. So whenever these two bits are 00, it is identified as that particular mode word sets the 8251 into synchronous communication. And if it is 01, 01 here, it is the same as our clock frequency. Then if it is baud rate factor, this is baud rate factor. So this is 01 means 0 and 1 here. It is the same clock rate. If it is 1 here and 0, it is 16 times the clock frequency. Then if it is if it is B2 to B1 is 1 it is 64. The baud rate factor is 64. So you have clock frequency divided by this baud factor will give you baud rate. Okay. Then L2, L1 is character length. So how many characters form a data? So if it is 00, it is 5 bits only data. 6 bits for 01, 10, 7 bits, and 8 bit, it is 11. If you want to have a byte to be transferred, here it should be 11. Then this is your parity enable. Sorry, this is parity enable. If this line is 1 only, parity operation will happen. Okay, parity bit will be introduced. So if parity is disabled by giving 0, we don't have any parity bits introduced. So whenever these are 0, it is disabled condition. If it is 1, we have, this is 1 and 0 here. The other end is, this end is your even parity status. So it refers to even parity. This is parity enable. So even parity setting control word is this one. If this is 1 only and enabled condition, we have even parity. Enabled and this line is 0, even parity is 0, odd parity. The last one is your stop bits. How many stop bits to be added? If it is 00, no stop bits. 01, if it is 01, one stop bit. 10, 1.5, and 11, it is 2. This is as far as your asynchronous concerned. Asynchronous, if this 2 is 00, then it is synchronous operation. So asynchronous means these combinations should be. So same as your clock frequency, 1/16th of our clock frequency or 1/64th of a clock frequency, we have the baud rate to be set here. Length of the characters. So whether it is 6 bit or 7 bit per character, 8 bit, then parity, and then stop bits. So these baud rate, length of the character, parity, stop bits. Always start bit is going to be one low only. So only stop bits are changing. This is as far as here asynchronous. Synchronous is just one modification of this, where we have no parity required in our synchronous. So this is made 00 disabled. And asynchronous mode, this is your synchronous mode. So this is 00. This is 00 here for synchronous mode, this two combinations. And character length may be varying, just as this one. Parity, no parity needed. So this is also made 00. And lastly, stop bits are not required, but rather we have a synchronous modes, internal synchronization or external synchronization that is specified. 0 here, external clock will synchronize. 0, 1 means internal, 1 is external and 0 is here internal. ESD, this bit is defined as ESD, so external sync only becomes 1. And this is called synchronization characters, synchronous characters. How many characters, sync characters we have to use? Two synchronous, high character, to high of one clock period. So that is synchronous, or one character. Okay, one bit of clock period, clock high. I mean, one the data line, if it is high for one clock period, that is synchronous. So before the bit is starting, we will send the sync pulses first in the synchronous. Then command word for different, that is transmit enable, receive enable, data terminal ready, then ready to send, resetting flags, error flags, then break characters, internal resetting, hunt modes, finding for sync characters. That is what is about this sync. Transmitter enable is this one. Then data terminal ready. Here will be done whenever DTR is 0. When DTR signal comes 0, a 1 here. Okay. A 1 available here, actually, a 1 here will make the DTR line of our 8251 to be 0. That is what is the meaning of it. So you write a command word, make the DTR line to be 0. DTR means data terminal ready. So we were talking about before the transmission is TXT, the transmitting data is started. The transmitter data terminal ready should be made high, isn't it? So that is done using this one. The one is made here, a command word is written, and that will enable that 8251's DTR line to be 0. One here makes it 0. Then RXC, enable the receiver. Then yes, break, sent break character for synchronous operation. Sorry, asynchronous operation, send break character. Then ER is here, error reset. Error reset is, there are error flags available. Error flags we will see in the status register. So that setting the error flag, it is available here. Then ready to send, ready to send if the 851 act as a receiver, then ready, sorry, if it is acting as a transmitter, clear to send is for receiver, ready to send is for all the registers will be made 0. Data bus will be cleared off. And error hunting is for say, finding out any sync characters available. One here will check for synchronous operation. It's hunt mode. So this is all put in a short form here. So a simple IO can happen like this. A read operation means what happened? Reading operation involve um, data, I mean 8086, which is microprocessor controlling our 851. It is reading some data from our 851. It is getting some data. So it is like a receiver. So 851 is actually receiving some bits through communication, and the 8086 reads it. So how it happened? The algorithm is start, then it checks the receiver ready status. If it is logic 1, if receiver ready will be high, only this receiver ready is a status signal. This receiver ready will be high whenever you have received, that is buffer is ready with the data register is filled with data, received data. So that data register is read by the 8086 and that ends it. So if that is not the case, if the receiver ready is not 1, it keeps on checking this condition, checking the receiver ready, it goes on. Write is where before 8251 controlled by 8086 act as a transmitter, write operation. So for that, what happened? Before the data is put on the transmitter data line, the readiness of the transmitter is indicated through TX ready, transmitter ready. So that is checked, and if that is 1 only, if the transmitter is ready only, data register content is, and data register is filled with the 8086 data. And that is it. So you have the read operation, 8086 does a read operation with 8251, or 8086 does a write operation like this. So there are few examples which I have given. Just go through it. Setting, this is about how we use this control word or a data word reading and writing. If it is read, you can have only status read or command read. Command cannot be read. You can only write commands. So read may be data read or a status read. So see D bar. If, if D bar with read, it is data read. And if it is C, there is one, and read, it is status read. Write, if it is write with C, it is writing command word, or write with data bus means writing transmitted data. That's what. So C bar D, command or data, read and write, these are very, very essential for deciding whether the 8251 is acting as a transmitter or a receiver. So this go through this algorithm, it's simple one. So this is an example. What value should be written in a mode control register with for a baud rate divided by 16, and we have character size to be 16 bits and odd parity, and we have one stop bit. So it is mode control register. It is said so. This is the definition for mode control. It is specifying there is one stop bit, so it cannot be a synchronous type of operation. It is a asynchronous type of operation. So asynchronous mode setting, first two are baud rate, second the length of the word, the length of the data. Then this is parity, enabling and even parity are all what? Stop bits. So what do you require here? We require baud rate of baud rate to be divided by 16. So 16 means 00 is for synchronous, 01 should be for the same rate of clock frequency, 10 for 16. So first two bit should be 10. So this is what we have. Second character size is 16. So this is length of the particular. So 16 means it's to be done as 8 and 8. So we have number of bit is 8 plus 8. So 1 is given. So 1 is the next bits. Then odd parity is given. So we have to enable parity and make it odd also. So enable is make it 1. And odd parity is 0. Then lastly, stop bits. How many stop bits? One stop bit. So 01. So we have this command mode setting word. So if you have set a mode, particular mode word, you put it in the mode register. Mode register, command registers all will have C A naught to be 1, C bar D bar, C slash D bar will be actually given out by A naught. So our address A naught is identified from this 51's A naught. So A naught is 1. A naught equal to 1 means C only 1. So 51 is a command word. You set the mode corresponding to this one. As we had done, take the mode word as format, find out whether it is tallying, write it into this address. 51 is all depending on the way decoder is connected. So decoder output is given to the chip select. So for an example, we have taken as 5. Can be anything else. So 5, only A naught becoming 0 or 1 matters here. If it is odd, we have the command words. If it is even, it is to be in and even means status. Okay. So this is about this sequence as a mode and control registers at address 51. Clock frequencies are to be 16 times the corresponding baud rates. Okay, so just go through it. It is easier for searching for high in a successive ASCII sync codes. So we write the control word for hunt mode in the command register content. Okay. So 51, this one, first one will be your mode setting. Second one will be your control word. In that you check for hunt mode. 1 is your hunt mode. It is 1. So it hunts for 2 sync characters. So checking the control register, you can understand this. Do this. And this is an example given for inputting 80 character from an 8051. The data buffer register is 0050 and putting them in a memory buffer beginning at the line, beginning at a particular address called line. So just go through it. Any doubt, you just clarify. Thank you.